I'm talking to Dr. Pati VItt, a conservation scientist at the Chicago Botanic Gardens, across the street from which I used to live back when I lived on the south side of Highland Park. And I'm really fascinated by the work that you are doing about the effect of gender on plant populations.
Most plants we know are hermaphrodites. They have both male and female parts, or pollen and egg producing parts. We don't normally think about them as having sex, really, right?
I must say that I never think about plants having sex.
Right. Most people don't. But there's a slice of people who study plants who do think about that. And, we find it kind of fascinating and maybe even a little titillating.
It is difficult for me to comprehend what gender means in a plant.
Like most biological organisms, they have two different mating types. We think of those mating types as being either male or female. Plants are just the same way. It's just that they produce pollen, which we think of as the male side of the reproductive equation, but they do produce an egg, which we generally don't tend to see, undergo fertilization and create, a zygote or a little baby cell that's the merged, genetic material from the male side and from the female side, just like any other organism.
It almost sounds like you're saying plants are intersex.
Yeah. It's hard to observe a flower just producing pollen, which is the male, right, that's the male equivalent. So we can easily measure female reproductive success. It's very difficult to measure male reproductive success.
You don't see you don't see the actual plant. You see the pollen came from somewhere else, and you can't see it. You can see where the female is.
Right.
It's a mama's baby, papa's maybe.
It's the same two-sex problem in plants as it is in animals.
Okay.
There are a few plants that have flowers that are entirely male or entirely female. And there are some plants that are transgender. Sometimes they're male and sometimes they're female. And I happen to study a plant called Jack in the Pulpit, which is sometimes Jill in the Pulpit. And it's based on size. If it's very large, it's going to be female. And that makes sense. If you're a plant, you're putting a lot of energy into producing both seeds and fruits. So that's the female cost of reproduction. For males, their cost is very low. All they're doing is producing pollen.
Yeah,
right?
It's always like that for the boys, isn't it?
It is. And if you go out and you survey different populations, you find that they have different ratios of male to female. And they're generally tied to environmental cues like the sunlight that's coming down through the canopy and the soil nutrients that are available.
You were saying that the gender of a plant depends on how it was raised, the environment in which it was nurtured.
Yes, yeah.
I think my head is going to explode, okay? I just want to make sure. So what can we do with this knowledge?
If you have a species that reflects that and you want to keep them hanging around, you can manage their environment to increase their reproductive success. Open up the canopy a little bit and maybe have a few more females. Clean up the environment, get rid of the invasive species. These are all management activities that are likely to help, kind of any species, but we can see and measure the effect in a gender-changing species just a little bit more easily.
Dr. VItt, I must tell you that I am astonished, as I so often am when I talk to people who actually know things. If we go to the Chicago Botanic Gardens, will we see you wandering around playing with plants?
Oh, you might, yes.
All right, well, we'll look forward to seeing you out in the sunshine. Thank you very much.
Awesome.